Right now, the right combination of machines and practices makes it possible to mechanize the citrus harvest for early and mid-season crops. The system starts with getting the grove in the right condition. A year-round weed control program, along with the proper skirting and shaping of the trees, and maintaining the center aisle level and smooth. When picking time arrives, an abscission chemical is applied, which stimulates an easier release of the fruit. Between 2 and 5 days after the chemical is applied, depending on the weather, the mechanical harvesting is done. The fruit can be dropped from the tree by using a small limb shaker or a trunk shaker, or by forced water stream. Or by an air machine. All of these methods get the fruit at a rolling whipping action that snaps it free from the stem. Then the next step is to get it out from under the trees into a center windrow. And then mechanically picked up and loaded onto the goat truck. To get the best possible use from these machines, the grower must prepare the grove on a year-round program. A routine herbicide or surface disking program will keep the undergrowth of grass and weeds in control, because the sweeping and pickup machinery needs to work in a smooth, flat bed. Along with weed control, proper skirting and shaping of the tree is also mandatory. Spacing is important too. Some of the older plantings are much too close, making any machine work difficult. The abscission layer that bonds the fruit to the stem requires a chemical releasing agent to allow more effective use of harvesting equipment. This chemical is safe to use after being proven by exhaustive government testing and analysis. The grower has to pay special attention to the right concentration, as well as the proper time lapse between application and picking. Otherwise, the bond reheals tougher than ever before. Usually, a pre-harvest spray is scheduled about 3 days before the desired day to pick. If unusually warm weather comes, the chemical acts faster, and within 2 days, the fruit is ready to go. At least 4 different kinds of harvesters were used in Florida last season. One was the idea of using a catch frame with a limb shaker. 2 machines joined together to encircle the base of the tree, allowing the crop to be conveyed immediately into a pallet box without ever touching the ground, saving the steps of sweep and pickup. The shaker arm can be moved in any direction, high or low. Of course, an operator is required for each half part of the machine, and working in a paired team, a row of trees can be dropped at a fairly impressive rate of speed. A smaller machine with a single limb shaker has its place in an old crowded planting, or in adverse terrain, or just a smaller operation. Each machine has been designed and studied for optimum performance to determine the best rate of thrust and stroke. They do work when used right. Another method that was used here was the trunk shaker, a self-propelled machine that moves at a good rate of speed. The shaker tongue has a heavily padded grip that grabs the upper part of the trunk, shaking the entire tree in one operation. Only a few seconds, and the job is done. On to the next tree. Forced water spray can also do the same job. A diesel engine drives a high-pressure pump to boost the well pressure. This machine can exert the same whipping and snapping force on the limbs to drop the fruit. This machine is used where the grower has a good water supply he normally uses throughout the season. The concept of using forced air to whip off the fruit offers several distinct advantages. First, this enables the machine to run at a constant speed down the tree row, non-stop. Since nothing contacts the bark, probably this machine imposes less damage to the tree. The air is directed by oscillating louver action to get the desired whipping and rolling motion to snap off the oranges. An air machine can go down a tree row, throwing the crop down at a very encouraging pace. The same idea can be made on a compactly mounted truck chassis, which also holds a high-torque diesel to drive the fans, delivering wind force over 100 miles per hour to get the job done cleanly and quickly. The same whipping motion can be seen here again, which sort of roll snaps the fruit loose from the stem. Under the right condition, this takes less than 1 minute to pass by a tree, throwing the crop down. Now you can see why close and crowded spaces would make trouble for this operation. Now stop for a moment and think. How does this compare with hand labor? Of course, there are still problems to be overcome, but is there any way to speed up a hand operation without hiring more help? Certainly machines can be refined and improved. New developments will come as time passes. Labor supply and demand are not always to the liking of the grower. No, not every season, at least in these changing times. No matter how the harvest is dropped, a brush or sweep rake can move from under the trees into an easily handled windrow. The smoother the grove bed, the better the sweep works. Some of the growers started a program of leveling and compaction last year. And this is where it pays off. A sweep and pickup operation with nothing left behind. And finally, here is the only place where the crop is counted. On the load. Anything to improve this final count. Not what was grown, but what was sold. These are the tons of reasons of what improvements are all about. More than a decade of research has gone into each phase of the operations necessary to mechanize the citrus harvest, with many more improvements needed. Each step along the way has presented tough problems with no easy answers, and many, many thousands of dollars have been spent by state and corporate efforts in finding solutions. At this point in time, many questions are still yet unsolved. Yet it is possible now, right now, to start a long-range program in early and mid-season groves that will realize a way of mechanizing the harvest. What about the late-season valencias? The industry needs more help, more ideas, new ideas on this tough problem. And even now, it is very hard to determine an accurate cost comparison between machine and hand labor. It will take several seasons of knowing optimum grove conditions before the variable factors can really be pinned down. Each grower will invest different amounts of effort to adjust to new systems. Very possibly new ways of conditioning the trees and bed he does not now do. But this is where we are, and mechanical harvesting can be done. And as time passes, more momentum in its use will demand more participation to help the systems get better and better. It's here. No way to stop it. Help it along for everybody's good. You can be sure that where we are now is not the way it will remain. The challenge is wide open for better ideas, better systems, better methods. What do you have?